Most men make the same mistake when it comes to attraction. They believe that if a woman isn't interested in them, the only solution is to try harder, send more messages, buy her gifts, or constantly remind her of their feelings. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The harder you try, the less she wants you. Desire doesn't grow out of effort. It grows out of mystery, scarcity, and emotional impact. A woman who ignores you today can become obsessed with you tomorrow, not because you convinced her with words, but because you triggered the hidden psychological switches inside her mind. Attraction isn't about logic. It's about how you make her feel when she's around you, and even when you're not there. In this article, we'll uncover the exact principles that can flip a woman's perception of you, from complete indifference to undeniable desire, even if she wasn't interested in the first place. Number 1. Understanding the nature of indifference. When a woman shows no interest in you, most men instantly interpret it as a final rejection, like a door permanently shut. They believe she has already decided, and nothing can ever change her perception. But this is a shallow way of looking at attraction. Indifference does not mean impossibility. In fact, indifference is often just the absence of an emotional trigger. It means her emotions have not yet been awakened, not that they never can be. Think about it this way. If attraction were purely logical, then every woman would choose a man based on rational criteria: his job, his income, his kindness, or his appearance. But reality proves otherwise. Every man has seen a woman fall head over heels for a guy who doesn't check any of those boxes. Why? Because attraction isn't about a checklist, it's about a spark. That spark is emotional, irrational, and deeply tied to instincts rather than conscious choice. This is why a woman's lack of initial interest should never be confused with permanent rejection. She may not feel anything for you now simply because you haven't yet touched the right nerve. Imagine a piano. All the keys are there. But until you press the right ones, no music comes out. In the same way, until you strike the right emotional chords, her perception of you remains flat and neutral. The tragic mistake men make is to respond to indifference with desperation. They chase harder, try to explain their worth, or flood her with attention. But this only reinforces the idea in her mind that you are beneath her value. Why? Because when you behave as though she is the prize and you are the pursuer, she naturally believes she has more power than you, and power imbalance kills attraction. Desire cannot grow where one person is begging for approval. Instead of seeing indifference as a dead end, the wise man interprets it as a neutral canvas. A canvas can be painted on. It holds potential. The key is to understand that attraction is dynamic, not fixed. A woman can be indifferent one moment and intensely drawn to you the next, depending on how you frame yourself and how you influence her emotions. Biologically speaking, women are wired to respond to dominance, mystery, and scarcity. These qualities signal value. If she doesn't see those qualities in you, she feels nothing. That's not because you inherently lack them, but because you haven't expressed them in the right way. Her indifference is not evidence of your failure. It is evidence that the game hasn't even started yet. Understanding this shifts your mindset from desperation to control. Instead of asking, "How can I convince her to like me?" you start asking, "What emotions can I awaken in her that will make her see me differently?" This mental shift is critical. You stop trying to push against her indifference with logic and begin working with the psychology of attraction itself. So the first step in making any woman want you, even when she's not interested, is to reframe how you see indifference. Don't see it as rejection. See it as untapped potential. Don't see it as the end. See it as the beginning. Once you truly understand this, you will never look at female indifference the same way again. Number 2. The paradox of indifference. Why coldness creates desire. One of the most counterintuitive truths about attraction is this: the less you try to win a woman over, the more she feels drawn to you. At first, this seems absurd. Shouldn't kindness, attention, and constant effort make her like you more? Isn't love about showing how much you care? This is what most men believe, and yet their lived experience tells them the opposite. The more they text, chase, and try to prove their devotion, the colder the woman becomes. The reason lies in a powerful psychological law. Human beings desire what seems scarce and resist what feels abundant. Scarcity creates value. Abundance reduces it. A diamond is just a stone, but its rarity makes it precious. Water is essential for life, yet because it is everywhere, people take it for granted. The same law governs human relationships. When you are always available, always responding, always giving, you become like water, necessary perhaps, but unremarkable. When you are limited, selective, and unpredictable, you become like a diamond, hard to find, impossible to ignore. For women, attraction is especially sensitive to this law because their psychology has evolved around mate selection. A man who is too available signals that he has no other options. If no one else values him, why should she? On the other hand, a man who withholds his attention, who gives just enough to spark curiosity but never enough to satisfy it, signals that he is in demand. He must have choices. And what women desire above all is a man who other women also want. This is why indifference, when used correctly, generates desire. It flips the script. Instead of you chasing her, she begins to chase the validation that you withhold. She starts to wonder, why doesn't he need me? Why is he so confident without me? That questioning plants the first seed of attraction. But it's important to distinguish between toxic neglect and strategic indifference. Ignoring a woman completely, being rude, or acting arrogant will backfire. That is not attractive. It's immature. The kind of coldness that creates desire is controlled, deliberate, and balanced. You show interest, but you don't overinvest. You give attention, but in limited doses. You allow moments of closeness, then pull back to create space. This push and pull dynamic is intoxicating because it mirrors the emotional roller coaster that fuels desire. Think of it like fire. If you smother a flame with too much wood, it suffocates. If you starve it with nothing, it dies. But if you feed it slowly, intermittently, the fire grows hotter and stronger. Desire works the same way. Too much attention kills it. Too little attention prevents it. But carefully measured scarcity intensifies it. This paradox, being cold enough to intrigue but warm enough to connect, is the essence of masculine allure. Women may say they want a man who is always caring, always available, always giving. But what they truly respond to, deep in their emotions, is a man who keeps them uncertain, a man who doesn't reveal all of himself, a man who could walk away at any moment. That tension is the spark that transforms indifference into fascination. So if you want a woman to desire you, even when she shows no interest, stop flooding her with proof of your affection. Instead, master the art of strategic indifference. Create space. Let her feel the discomfort of not knowing where she stands with you. Let her imagination do the work that your words never could. Because in the game of attraction, it is not effort that wins. It is scarcity, mystery, and the paradox of being wanted, because you do not need to be wanted. Number 3. triggering emotions instead of persuading logic. One of the greatest mistakes men make when pursuing women is believing that words and logic can change how she feels. They think that if they can just explain themselves clearly enough, if they can show her they are good, reliable, and genuinely interested, she will suddenly realize she should want them. But attraction does not work that way. Attraction is not a courtroom where rational arguments win the case. It is a battlefield of emotions, instincts, and subconscious triggers. A woman does not fall for a man because he tells her why he is worthy. She falls because he makes her feel something she cannot ignore. Excitement, tension, curiosity, even jealousy. These are the sparks that ignite desire. Logic is weak compared to raw emotional impact. You can list 100 reasons why she should want you, but one unexpected burst of emotion will outweigh them all. Think about the stories women tell their friends. Rarely do they say, "I like him because he has a stable job and explained his financial planning strategy to me." Instead, they say, "I don't know why, but there's something about him that I can't stop thinking about." That something is never logical. It is emotional. So how do you trigger emotions instead of relying on persuasion? The key is unpredictability. When you are predictable, the emotional range stays flat. She knows what you'll say, she knows how you'll act, and so there is no tension. But when you surprise her by saying something unexpected, teasing instead of complimenting, or withdrawing when she thought you would chase, you create a spike of emotion. That spike breaks the pattern, and it forces her brain to pay attention. Another powerful tool is curiosity. When you reveal everything about yourself immediately, there is nothing left for her to wonder about. Curiosity dies, and with it, desire. But when you share fragments, half a story, a glimpse of your world, a mystery about your past, you awaken her imagination. The mind hates unfinished puzzles. She will keep thinking about you, trying to fill the gaps you deliberately left open. That mental effort builds emotional investment. Emotions can also be stirred through playful tension, light teasing, challenging her opinions in a respectful way, or refusing to agree with everything she says. All of these create friction, and friction is not negative. Friction is energy. Without it, interactions are dull. With it, sparks fly. This is why chasing with logic backfires. When you try to convince a woman logically, you place her in control. She gets to decide, rationally, whether you meet her criteria. But when you engage her emotionally, you bypass her conscious filters and go straight to her instincts. Suddenly, she is not analyzing you. She is feeling you. And feelings drive action far more than thoughts. Attraction is not a debate to win. It is an experience to create. If she doesn't feel it, no argument will matter. But if you make her feel something intense, she will find her own reasons later to justify why she wants you. The reasons come after the emotions, not before. So stop trying to prove yourself with words. Instead, focus on how you can make her feel. Be unpredictable. Be intriguing. Create tension. Leave her with questions instead of answers. Because once her emotions are activated, logic no longer matters. Desire takes over. Number 4, building the image of a high-value man. At the core of female desire lies one undeniable truth. Women are drawn to men of value. But value here does not simply mean money, looks, or status, although those can help. True value is the perception that you are a man who is rare, who has options, and who is not easily replaceable. In other words, you are not desperate because your life is already full and abundant. When a woman interacts with you, she unconsciously asks, Why should I invest in this man? What makes him stand out from all the others? If your only answer is, because I like you, that is not enough. Every man likes her. What she wants to know is whether other people admire you, whether you command respect, and whether you bring something unique that cannot be found in every man who sends her a message. This is why developing yourself is not optional. It is essential. A man who works on his body, his career, and his social life naturally radiates value. He does not need to brag about it. It shows in how he carries himself, his posture, his energy, and the way people respond to him all speak louder than words. High-value men also project abundance. When you have goals, hobbies, and a network of friends, you automatically appear less needy. You are not waiting around for her texts because you are already busy living a fulfilling life. And paradoxically, this is exactly what makes her want to be part of your world. Women crave to be included in a life that is already exciting, not to become the sole source of your excitement. Another dimension of value is social proof. Women are wired to notice how other women respond to a man. If others admire you, laugh at your jokes, or compete for your attention, her perception of you skyrockets. This is why being surrounded by people, especially other women, increases your desirability. It signals that you have been pre-approved by the group. Evolutionarily, this matters. If other women want you, you must possess qualities worth desiring. Yet value is not just external, it's also internal. A man who is grounded in self-respect, who enforces his boundaries, and who is willing to walk away from disrespect, shows more value than a man with money who tolerates being treated poorly. Women may test you with attitude, indifference, or even small provocations. These are not accidents. They are subconscious ways to measure your strength. If you crumble, they lose interest. If you stand firm, their respect grows. In short, building the image of a high-value man means creating a life that speaks for itself. You don't chase because you don't need to. You don't beg for attention because your attention is already valuable. You don't try to convince her of your worth because she can see it in how you live, how you act, and how others respond to you. When you embody value, something fascinating happens. The very women who once ignored you begin to compete for your time. They don't want you because you begged. They want you because you don't need them. And nothing is more attractive to a woman than a man who is wanted by many but chooses selectively. Number 5. Turning indifference into desire. At this point, you understand that indifference is not the end. It's the beginning. But how do you transform that neutral state into active desire? The answer lies in mastering the art of tension, giving just enough to spark her interest, but never so much that you remove the mystery. Desire is born in the space between what she feels and what she doesn't know. When a woman is indifferent, she does not yet imagine you as part of her emotional world. Your goal is not to convince her with reasons, but to subtly shift her perception until she begins to wonder about you. The first step is to create contrast. If she expects you to chase, surprise her by pulling back. If she assumes you will flood her with attention, show her restraint. Every time you behave differently from the average man, she reevaluates you. And in that moment of reevaluation, a seed of curiosity is planted. Curiosity is the fuel that transforms indifference. A woman may ignore you at first, but if she cannot fully read you, her mind starts to play with possibilities. Why isn't he trying harder? Does he have other options? What makes him so calm? These questions are emotional hooks. The more she asks them, the more invested she becomes. You are no longer invisible. You are intriguing. But curiosity alone is not enough. You must also create emotional highs and lows. Flat interactions produce no passion. Passion comes from contrasts. Closeness followed by distance, attention followed by withdrawal, warmth followed by coolness. This push-pull dynamic keeps her in suspense. She cannot predict you, and unpredictability is addictive. Each time she feels a surge of uncertainty, her emotional attachment grows stronger. Think of it as turning a dial. Too much distance and she gives up. Too much attention and she gets bored. But when you balance the two, when you come close, then step back, you create tension. And tension is the mother of desire. It makes her heart race. Not because of what you did, but because of the uncertainty you created inside her. Another technique is to let her chase small pieces of your attention. For example, instead of initiating every message, wait for her to reach out. When she does, reward her with warmth, but keep it short. Then step back again. This creates a pattern where she works for your attention. And the more effort she invests, the more she values you. Psychology proves that people value what they work for, more than what they receive freely. Over time, this cycle transforms indifference into fascination. The woman who once thought nothing of you begins to anticipate your presence. She wonders when you'll call, when you'll appear, when you'll give her another piece of the puzzle. You are no longer background noise. You are the source of her emotional roller coaster. And because humans are addicted to emotional intensity, she will start to crave you, not logically, but biologically. So the secret is not to fight indifference head-on, but to use it as a stage. Let her feel the void of your absence, then fill it in controlled doses. Let her wonder about you. Let her chase pieces of your attention. Bit by bit, you shift her from neutrality to longing. And once she reaches the point where she invests her emotions in you, indifference is dead. Desire has taken its place. In the end, making a woman want you, even when she isn't initially interested, is not about tricks, lies, or begging for her attention. It's about understanding the psychology of attraction and using it to your advantage. Indifference is not rejection. It's simply the absence of emotional triggers. By embracing strategic coldness, creating tension, and triggering curiosity, you transform yourself from just another man into the one who stands out in her mind. And when you build the image of a high-value man, a man who respects himself, lives abundantly, and is desired by others, you no longer need to chase women. They begin to chase you. Remember, attraction is never about convincing her with logic. It's about making her feel uncertainty, feel curiosity, feel the tension of wanting what she cannot fully have. Once you control those emotions, you control the entire dynamic. If you found these insights powerful, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. What resonated with you the most? And which principle are you going to apply first? Don't forget to hit the like button, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to the channel for more content on psychology, attraction, and personal power. Your support not only helps the channel grow, but also ensures you never miss the strategies that can transform your relationships forever.